Welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So we're talking about what the process that you should do when you buy an occupied property. Right? And I've talked about occupied properties, but I can talk about buying them, what the pros and cons are. And I discussed some of the things that tenants say. So I'm going to talk about first psychology and then the two lies that I hear a lot. That some of these lies, when sellers listen to them, I end up buying the property because they're just basic, just jerk-alongs. So, first of all, I had to explain this to one of my students and one of my friends recently. If you buy a property with a tenant who's not paying rent for a significant period of time, or who's paying minimal rent, right? I bought a lot of properties in situations where, like, it was the person's stepson, it was the person's grandson, and the only reason why they sold to me at a discount was because they didn't want to have that confrontation with them. And or they're charging them $400 and really the market rent is $2,000. I've had situations like that a lot. Someone goes from like paying no rent or just a few $100s rent, they're never going to become someone who pays market rent. We think they will, right? We think, well, they're thinking, this is great. I'm saving all this money. I can't wait. And one day I'll have to pay market rent. That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking that they will fight tooth and nail, do whatever they can to not pay market rent and to stay where they are. So the two things that I hear, that I've heard over the years, and I've been dealing with tenants since 2004, the first lie is, I'm ready to go. I just need to find a place. Now, when I first started doing this, I had a tenant situation like that, and I believed them. And they were good, right? They packed up all their stuff into boxes. Come over to the house. You can see we're all in boxes. And I went there and I'm like, what kind of moron would pack his stuff into boxes if he didn't want to leave? Okay, 9 months later, they still hadn't left. So never believe them when they say that. Now, it may be true. It doesn't matter, though. Whatever eviction legal matter is at your disposal, you need to do, regardless of the fact that all their stuff's packed up in boxes. I just had a property, and it goes to show you that I'm telling you this, and I screw up on it sometimes. I had a property I bought in a nice area, and the guy was straight up lied to me about everything. I'm moving across the street. I'm renting right here. I'm about to buy a property. Oh, something happened with the closing. And nothing moved. He was never going to move until I served him notice and getting him evicted. And then he calls me like crying. I can't function. He came to my office, brought me a nice check for all the back rent and said, don't do this. I'm going to leave. And I took the check and I said, I'm going to do this, right? This is the only way I can get your leave. This is it, right? And he would. I honestly believe that he never, ever would have left until I took him to court. And I had to go to court, and then he left. Now, so don't ever believe someone saying, I'm ready to go, even if all their stuff's packed up, even if their moving truck is in front. Don't ever believe anyone's actually leaving until they leave. The second lie I hear a lot is, I want to buy the property. Well, I was negotiating with the seller to buy the property. So understand, someone who's not, even if someone is paying rent, it's still unlikely they're going to be able to qualify for a loan to get the property. Is it possible? Sure. Is it something that you should take on its face? No, because it is the absolute easiest way to jerk you along for a year with, oh, I'm getting the appraisal done. Oh, this guy needs something for my credit. Oh, this guy, I'm just fixing something in my credit. Oh, I'm just have to send him some documentation. So those are the two biggest lies, right? One is I'm ready to go. I just need to find a place. And two is I'm trying to buy the property. I want to buy the property from you. So you never can believe those stories. Now, it may be possible they're telling the truth, but it doesn't matter. So you need to go through the process of having people serve. And let me just tell you, the standard eviction policy is you have to serve them notice that you're terminating their tenancy, that they have to leave. After that notice is over, if they're still there, and if they weren't, we wouldn't be talking about it. You then need to get a court date and serve them notice to appear in court. They show up in court. Usually the courts make you try to do some mediation, which means come to an agreement because the court doesn't want to go to trial. So like one of my good friends had it recently. So then you sign something called a stipulation, which is like an agreement. One of my good friends went through a situation recently where he told the people if they don't leave by a certain date, then their rent goes up to close to market. I never ever would have signed that stipulation. I told him I think it was a mistake because those people went from paying like $300 a month to $1,800 a month. And eventually it was going to be a problem. And now it's a problem. Now they're coming and saying they want him to fix all this stuff. They want him to make all these repairs. And they're just setting things up for the ultimate eviction. So I told 2 people recently like this. I said, listen, you can view this as painful, or you can understand that the only way this ends is when the sheriff comes to pull them out. And that's it. And now you have to go on that path. And on that path, it's going to be bumpy. They're going to jerk you around. They're going to ask you to make repairs. All kinds of stupidity. They're going to lie to you. They're going to do anything they can to keep the status quo. So you need to have that in your mind. This ends when the sheriff comes, right? I never would have signed that stipulation that if you stay, you're going to pay more. My thing was, if you don't leave, you're out of here. And that's it, right? And you have to be able to suck that up and understand that there's going to be a period of time. I just had somebody leave today from a property. I looked. Let me look at it again because it makes me want to throw up. I bought the property August 24th, 2021. So what are we? 18 months into it, and he just left. Right? If you're buying occupied properties, you have to suck it up. Now remember, until 2022, January 15th, 2022, we're in the middle of a moratorium. So that's what it took. And I got the property at what I believe is a big discount. What the hell did I pay for it? I don't even know. Yeah, I bought it really cheap. So I think that you have to view the situation as someone who's not paying rent or is paying minuscule rent is never going to just snap into it. Right? They almost certainly didn't save any of that money to save for the rainy day when the rent goes up. It's like they're not going to become the tenants you want them to be, right? And your goal, if you're buying something to keep, or even if you're flipping something and someone else is going to take it, your goal, if you're keeping it, is to get market rent, right? We're in a capitalist society. You should get whatever the market will bear, right? And if someone's paying very little, you're not getting them there. They're going to lie and do whatever they can to keep the status quo. So, to me, it's not emotional, right? When I looked at that August, I got a little emotional for a second. But the truth is, it's business, and that's all it is. And you need to understand that it's just business, and that they're going to fight you tooth and nail. Now, I buy a lot of properties from sellers who can't make this a business decision. For them, it's personal. So a tenant screws them over, stops paying them rent, jerks them around for a year, lies to them, I'm leaving, I want to buy the property, just looking for a place, jerks them around. They don't take legal action against them. And then they come to me and say, I want to buy it. And I go, sure, here's a number. And it's a ton less. I mean, I think I bought this property $175,000 less than what it's worth. So it's less. But in this case, with this guy, it was a family member, and she just couldn't evict him. She couldn't do it. So, what was I saying? Your job should be to get this thing to market rent, and if you got to get the person out, you've got to make a business. So sellers can't make that a business decision. It's too personal. So really, very often, what it'll take is a check. You write them a check, and they leave, right? But the idea from a seller's perspective is, if this guy owes me $50,000 in rent, how the hell am I going to write him a check? That makes no sense. That guy should be writing me a check. Why should I write him a check? But sometimes it's just a matter of money, and it's a business decision, right? In a lot of these cases, the sellers could write this guy a check, go over to him and say, hey, you have one-time deal. I'll give you $15,000 to leave by the end of the month. For some people, that's money that they'll never see in their life. For some people, that's a chance at finding a new apartment where they need, let's say, 3 months rent. They need a 1 month security, first month's rent, and a broker's deposit. For some people, that works. But a lot of sellers can't do it. Now, thank God, I can still see it, and I can figure out how long it's going to be. I can estimate how long it's going to be for me to evict. Although the truth is, though, the New York state laws got all screwed up. Cuomo really screwed us over in 2020, right before the pandemic, where we have to give 90 days notice in almost every situation. Now it's more. It takes longer, right? I think before 2020, I'd average 4 or 5 months. Now it's probably averaging 5, 6 months, maybe 7 months, depending on the situation. So it's just important to understand this is a straight up business decision. It should not be emotional. People don't go from paying zero to paying market rent ever. If you get somebody who's paying zero, you shouldn't even talk to the guy about paying rent. It should be like, when can you leave? And if I can help you out, let's get out of this sooner. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com or learntoflipandwholesale.com. That link might work too. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching any media channel, please hit the thumbs up. The likes really help me. They help the algorithm because a lot more people are seeing my videos lately, a lot more views lately. I really appreciate it. And please keep the comments coming. I post 5 times a week. I don't always know what to say. Your questions help me out by first giving me food for thought about things to say even going forward, and it gives me an opportunity to answer. You can ask any question. It could be about anything. It does not have to be about the video you're watching. If it's a simple answer, I'll reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered recently, I'll send you a link to a video on it. And if it's something new, I'll do a brand new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.